Greetings, friends! Welcome back to the Messed Up Movies Podcast, the podcast that celebrates movies and filmmakers that embrace the insane, the outrageous, the unhinged, the off-kilter, and the all-around kind of fun you can't take your eyes off of.
I can't, yes. I don't
No, Sam cannot take his eyes off the robots in this. That's all I know for sure. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Griffey, joined as always by my friends and co-hosts, Sam Price, Heath Benfield. Welcome back to the show.
Yes, I am a Megalonian. I'm part of the M3GAN fan base.
Yeah, let's go meet Sax.
Yeah, hold on to your vaginas. This pod's getting real. Okay, guys, a little bit of business here at the top. The Mr. Cream Jeans Hidey Hole Indiegogo campaign.
Wait, are you allowed to say that?
Yeah,
can we say that?
We can say that on our own fucking podcast.
Is that okay on Spotify?
Yes, we did get confirmation. We are banned, shadow banned from Indiegogo. Apparently, rubber dicks are adult content now. That's childish. Or eating watermelon Heath is. I thought this was America, not
that's
communist
just a
Russia.
nutritious snack.
Yeah, that's just
a
fucking
nice summer
healthy
snack.
living. That's a summer classic right there. We are shadow banned, but despite that, thanks to all of you awesome friends, fans, family, all that, and our very generous donor who matched dollar for dollar everything we did last week twice, right?
Yes.
And is going to keep matching. So if you hear this, your contributions will be doubled again thanks to our investor.
Let's get us to 30.
We have crossed. We are at 135% funded. So despite being shadow banned, the love you guys have showed us in 15, 16 days, we have reached our goal, moved on. We have bigger and higher goals for this thing that we're going to keep pressing on. This is an incredible win.
Even bigger rubber dicks now.
Yeah, even bigger dicks.
The sky's the limit.
Wait till you see the amount of vaginas that are about to be in this movie. Fake ones.
Rubber ones.
We are so excited. This is a win for us, for Misfit Parade, for Mr. Cream Jeans, for free speech. This is incredible. So thank you, everyone who's done that. One more thing. Please go to the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon. You get exclusive episodes, miniseries, all kinds of awesome stuff there. We have shirts now. Heath is modeling one of our new Misfit Parade shirts. I actually love the baby blue.
And the
blue.
shorts are matching.
Yeah, and we have Messed Up Movies Podcast shirts available. Reach out to us. Exciting times here. Also exciting, we went to the movie theater to see a sequel to what I thought was going to lead to our new modern Chucky, right? They tried to remake Child's Play with kind of an AI-enhanced Chucky. Mark Hamill is the voice.
Which like they already... Oh, you're talking about the actual Chucky.
The actual Chucky, right? Yeah. Seemed like it would be a grand slam. People were not into that movie, right? No. They went back to the well.
But that was a COVID movie, though.
It was kind of that
was
thing.
A little
Wait, I liked it before.
Which movie was that? I didn't even see it.
It was called Child's Play.
With Aubrey Plaza.
Mark Hamill was the voice of Chucky.
You never saw it?
I've never even heard of it.
Really? I really liked it, right?
I did too. It was good.
It was not loved by fans, so then the Chucky TV show kind of went back to Chucky as we knew him, right?
Yeah.
M3GAN felt like it was positioned. It was kind of this fun, campy, an AI companion that takes their prime directive too far, and to protect their child companion and replace parents who are too used to letting technology raise us, right? Kind of like a super version of the Our Parents Raised Us on TV. It had a lot of camp in it, a lot of awesome kills. We got like a weird TikTok meme dance. It was kind of this movie that just struck lightning in a bottle, right? I thought we were getting
the dance for sure.
It was everything. It's just a fun, fucking awesome ride of a movie. I thought this was going to be our new killer toy franchise of the future. I was fucking shocked watching M3GAN 2.0. This movie is not a horror film.
Whoa.
It feels in no way, shape, or form connected to M3GAN.
Whoa.
It's kind of they've almost turned it into like a sci-fi superhero romp. But I will say, I thought the script was super funny. The cast was super engaged. And I found this movie a very fun ride, despite being totally fucking sideswiped by what this movie wanted to be.
I'm having a hard time processing your accusation that this is unconnected. Or disconnected.
It feels like a movie from a completely different universe.
I kind of get what you're saying.
Than the M3GAN movie we watched.
I get what you're saying in the sense.
How so?
The M3GAN movie we watched is a classic kind of horror movie, technology run amok, right? It's not as much science fiction. It's a horror film that has a robot in it, right?
Sure.
And it has the kind of kills, and it has horror movie scenes and pacing and editing that make it feel like a horror film, right?
But that's only because the nature of the setup, which is this doll goes bad, it goes haywire, and it becomes a threat. This is a different story in the same universe.
Right. They turned this into a Mission Impossible film, right? This is a spies, espionage, superhero thriller
But it makes sense from a linear standpoint how you get to this.
I see how they get there. I think it's bizarre because if you look at this as a franchise, which it clearly is going to be now, what do you do next?
Well,
they're not going back to horror, and we're just going to do M3GAN as the new Tom Cruise.
They could go the Terminator route, which it seems like that's sort of what they did here. They did the horror movie.
Terminator's a very interesting
then they
parallel.
went action the second, and then they just
great parallel.
Shit the bed the rest of the time. They kept trying to remake
every like the Terminator where they went into the future and had Christian Bale.
That one was kind of cool.
Salvation, that one was okay.
It's kind of like in the past, though, in a way, right?
It felt because it's an apocalypse that had...
It's like a young John Connor, or like a middle-aged John
He's
Connor.
a man John Connor, which he would have been at the start of... It's kind of a prequel.
Well, it's
to
a prequel.
The movies we watch, but it's the future, so it's
because it's before he sent back the original guy that impregnated his mother.
Yeah, that has the classic, how do you just get to pick the guy who gets to go back and bang your mom and give you awesome Michael Bean?
It was Sean Bean, dude, of course.
Yeah, Michael Bean. Not Sean Bean.
Oh, yeah, Sean Bean.
He did die in the movie. I see how you're confused. But yeah, it's...
Bill Paxton's the guy who dies in all the Terminator and Alien.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So they could have... Terminator, I hope they don't go the Terminator route, which is basically they just tried to remake Terminator 2 every single sequel after that. They could go the Aliens route.
You cannot go back. I don't see how they get back to the killer
Well, yeah,
toy
do you
movies.
think they're going to make... I don't think they're going to make sequels.
They're 100% going to do a M3GAN 3.
Well, what the... I agree with you. Then what are they going to do? I thought this was going to be the end of it.
So this is why I think this is an interesting swing for the franchise. They blew up the core of what this franchise
M3GAN's not the bad guy anymore.
And now... M3GAN is this enhanced robot thing. What is she just going to have to keep fighting robots? Are we going to do a Mr. M3GAN goes to Washington?
Well, she's essentially Tony Stark's robot helper now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what the fuck does this franchise become? I enjoyed the bigger, expansive feel of this. I thought the action scenes were great. It was kind of a cartoonish, like a child's cartoon version of Upgrade, right? There were some really good fights in it. It's one of those movies that has like Chekhov's armor, right? Chekhov's, magical EMP. Like, all of that shit gets paid off. It's one of those, as I saw one of our friends, Devon, who I love, he's been on this pod. He has his own great pods, Tainted Love and the Spectre Club, you guys should go listen to. He ripped the shit out of this movie and hated it. And he said it's one of the worst scripts of a big movie he's seen in a while, which I don't agree with. This felt like an early Joss Whedon to me.
Yeah.
He who shall not be named anymore, I guess. But it's one of those, that was his thing, right? Is he's like, give it stakes, make you care about the characters, and for God's sake, make someone laugh. That was his kind of mantra of how he did these movies. This is very much like
this movie checks all those boxes.
But that's what I'm saying. It felt like that to me because the problem is I think it fails a little bit in like the Firefly paradox, right? Because it does have a laugh line at the end of every single scene, frame, anything. I think they had a really high batting average on those. Like it was a very fun movie, and the cast was nailing it.
A lot of LOLs
from me. A lot of it. It was very fun. The problem is, it's one of these movies where, as they try to raise the stakes to this super high level, you never really are invested or care about what's happening. Everything's such a foregone conclusion. And it felt very convenient a lot, right? And so I think it's one of those, the comedy has so overtaken the ship. And it's not one of those, I think it's so funny that it needs to be a comedy franchise now. I don't know where they can go with this. This feels like we will never get a good M3GAN movie again kind of things. While completely admitting, I enjoyed this M3GAN a lot.
Yeah. It's a good end, I think, to M3GAN.
I would be fine if there's not another one. It's not like there are any burning questions left.
There's nothing. There's nothing, because now she is the super preeminent thing. So only thing you can do is she fights armies. There's another M3GAN. The girl develops an AI she likes more than M3GAN, so she reverts back to no personal growth M3GAN. It all feels small and weird after blowing the world up to that size.
I think I might have it, dude. So the first one was a horror movie. The second one is an action movie. The third one should be either a rom-com or a straight drama. Maybe M3GAN gets a computer virus, like akin to cancer.
Oh, damn. You want to do a Philadelphia M3GAN?
And she's dying.
M3GAN's out on the streets. She's working in the red light district, and then all of a sudden she's like...
Maybe that's what they're going. Yeah, they're just going to genre hop for the rest of
I got a computer virus. And then she's in court with Denzel, and that'd be fucking
why Denzel? Oh,
Philadelphia.
Yeah,
dude. It's one of the best movies ever.
Bruce Springsteen song? He's doing the soundtrack?
That's right. It's when Bruce Springsteen slid dick first into the camera.
We did have a really funny moment in this with a full breakout into song.
That that's exactly a microcosm of what this movie is to me. That's the movie it wants to be as a comedy. Sure. I think it's such a bizarre thing. I do wonder, as I think the fans of M3GAN, it became more of a cult of character movie than I think I expected when I first saw it, right? Mm-hmm. M3GAN really captured everyone and became an iconic horror movie character almost immediately.
And possibly a gay icon.
Not possibly, definitely.
Okay,
right?
so I was reading online trying to get some notes for this. And I came across people talking about how she's a gay icon. I couldn't figure out why. Do you know the details of this?
So here's the thing that's weird about that when you brought this up to me, because she is a child robot in that. I also think it's very much like, it's a weird anytime you have a movie where people are fucking robots that are like a week old, that's just weird. I don't think it's that. I think M3GAN has this deciding her own identity and personhood thing. Because like we talked about this with the Babadook, right? And Babashook. The Babadook.
Babadook's a gay icon too. I didn't know that.
Super gay icon. You always see at Pride people decked out as Babadooks.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk about that later, but yeah.
Because it's a closeted person who wants to reclaim their identity and their self and not become the boogie spectrum that the movie said it was.
Oh.
I think I'm not the advocate or the voice for the gay community. This is just what I gathered and gleaned from reading on the internet. I should
talk to someone else.
But yeah, I know that M3GAN has become an actual icon. And I think all that's cool. I think the problem is, do we want a M3GAN who is doing their best kind of hackneyed comedy movies? Or did we like M3GAN because she was out there being a bad bitch and killing everyone very much like Jennifer and Jennifer's Body,
But she was still funny in the first one, I thought.
Yeah.
The first one was funny.
Yeah.
This is one of those, we talked about this before, like with horror comedies, right? Joe Bob always said it needs to be 80% horror and 20% comedy. And when that equation gets inverted, the movie doesn't work as well. Because this movie's not funny compared to like big comedies, right?
Right.
It's definitely not a horror setup anymore. The action is great. I love the action in this. Is that what people want out of M3GAN in the future? The people who really fucking love M3GAN, I would be interested to see what this movie does for them. Because this is just like a Barbie adventure. You know what I mean? This is Squirrel Suit Barbie.
It's entertainment.
Playhouse.
I mean, it's just having fun.
This is the most empty calories movie I've seen all summer.
My only gripe with it is that it's just too long. I mean,
that is a huge issue. Why is this not 86 minutes?
Exactly. Make it a straight bullet, because it does get tedious. We know that, you know, the human stakes aren't that meaningful, and that's not the point of the film. Yeah. The point is just to have a good time. It does overstay its welcome. Like twice at least, we stop down into the bunker, regroup, go through that whole character. Is it a character building moment?
It's not, because we do this whole like, what is our purpose for AI, and all the like bigger level thoughts of the movie, right? What are we responsible for AI and parenting and kids and technology? All that shit is so paper thin and not important to the movie.
I didn't mind it, but by the end, when it's 2 hours, and
other than being the entire plot was this dude is basically faking an attack, and he's going to deal with it.
And you knew that was coming.
Yeah,
there was no way Christiane was not involved. Everyone knew that the whole time.
Thank you for the correct pronunciation.
But again, they had Christiane, and then they had the amazing cameo by Gerard, or whatever his name is, from fucking Flight of the Conchords.
Oh yeah, Jemaine.
Oh yeah,
Jemaine, right?
Jemaine Clement. Yeah,
it's fucking hilarious, and he's great. But I was like, why kill him and then go reset to a new villain with Christiane, and then we've got the killer robot. So it's like 3 bad guys, a lot of fucking repeating the same paper thin lesson, things like that just kind of slow it down.
Also, can we pause for a second? I don't know anything about acting, but was he the worst actor you've ever seen?
Who?
Christiane.
I thought he was great.
Yeah.
You thought he was great?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. He's playing it very subtle and mundane. And I think him doing that in the midst of the conflict, he's this perfect kind of tech bro who's developed a personal front-facing... He's essentially like a serial killer. This is what he gives to the world so that he's likable and this and that. And I thought him keeping that mundane... That was great. Presentation was a great acting
You would
choice.
Expect him to be chomping on the scenery.
Yeah.
And it's not
if
unnecessary.
he's doing a Dennis Hopper... Then it's like,
because everyone else is so big. The circumstances.
Because that's the same
so
question
large.
I had with Allison Williams. I was like, did she just feast on Get Out, and now she's doing nothing in any movie she's in? Because I was watching her in this movie, I was like, she's not doing a fucking thing in this movie. No. She just sits there and looks stern.
Yeah.
Or like grumpy. She does not have a moment of emotion.
Yeah, she's pretty one
in this movie.
It's because I don't know how much we want to judge like the actual like script and plot, but like her character doesn't make any sense.
Well, again, this is one of those. It's hard for actors.
Like, how is she supposed to act like a character that doesn't?
Well, you're
exist?
at the mercy of the script.
Yeah.
You're at the mercy of the director. You're at the mercy of the edit. And again, the director might want you to be this certain way in the movie that makes us think, look at them not doing anything. They're phoning it in. But they did a great job at their role. She's good in this movie, but she's asked to offer nothing. Like, she's losing her daughter, right? Megan's coming back. She's now guilty of treason, right? She thinks they've run this whole criminal enterprise under her name.
Yeah.
At one point, her niece gets stolen. Her boyfriend betrays her, and I was like, where's the outrage? Where's anything where she's pissed about it? She's just the one scene where she's like, Megan betrayed us, I know it. And I was like, that seems fucking paper thin and lame. And of course it was.
But dude, that was my favorite story. I was like, man, that's how you could continue on the horror movie, as if Megan was actually in control of all this. That would have been the better story in my mind.
See, now weirdly, I actually 100% agree.
Yeah.
I think the like glowing Raiden eyes at the end and this old supercomputer.
Why not just make her actually evil?
Yeah, there was like a Xerox machine that then started to kill. That was so fucking
that
lame.
thing in particular, like, what was the fucking point of that? Like, even when Christian was like, we need to save it so that we can understand how they think. I'm like, how are you understanding how this fucking thing thinks? You're not hooking it up to anything. You're not studying
that's the problem. I think what they're getting for in the fact that it's this black site is that humans cannot be trusted with this responsibility, right? That we're always going to keep the dangerous AIs. We're always going to build a new Megan.
I know, but why?
Because that's what humans have always done.
But
why are we proliferating nuclear weapons all the time?
If we're getting into the actual script, his character wants to stop AI from forming, right?
Right.
Why wouldn't you just destroy that? Why would you need to keep it done?
Because he's learning from it, he thinks.
But how is he learning from it?
Well, they have a whole fucking team there. I don't know. I didn't see any data printouts.
Yeah, there's no fucking data printouts. They're not hooking that up.
It's also not the kind of movie that is interested in actually unpacking.
That was why I previously asked how much are we going to talk about the actual script? Because
it's a podcast. I think we should talk about it as much.
But does it matter to like whether or not the movie is good? Because everything in this movie doesn't make any sense.
No,
because to Heath's point, throw logic out. This is a big dumb popcorn action movie.
Right.
This is Die Hard 2, right? That's what this is. This is a shenanigans-laden movie.
Right.
And I would argue the bits pay off really well. The action was surprisingly awesome. I thought the scene in the convention was fucking rad. The fights were rad.
The camera work going like down and up.
Yeah, they did. They exactly just did everything Upgrade did.
Yeah.
And it was great.
I'm thinking of other movies that do this sort of mix of action and humor and big set pieces.
I was thinking like Army of Darkness, maybe.
Fifth Element.
I mean, that's very sci-fi. Tonally, I'm thinking it's like a True Lies.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sort
True
of like
Lies
that.
Is very comparable.
Yeah. Where we're not taking it too seriously. We're doing a little bit of winking.
There's like a terrorist threat kind of.
And honestly, it's kind of like the Avengers, because it's like you have to believe that these people are all geniuses.
Yeah.
But
Avengers,
they don't seem like geniuses.
Well, that's a Joss Whedon movie.
Whedon,
so
yeah.
You're,
exactly.
But that's what
probably
I mean.
pretty right.
It's that exact setup, right? Of it's people making questionable choices. That's the horror movie DNA of this, of people just making bad choices and letting monsters in at every corner.
Well, keep in mind, this is also a PG-13 movie. I mean, this is a great flick for teens.
Again, I think I watched it. My kids went. My mom and dad went. You went. Everyone we went with.
You guys think this will do better than 28 Years? Because 28 Years was rated R?
No. I think 28 Years is getting some of that, like, wow, what a great, wild movie.
Also,
and again, it actually pays off with the horror audience. I don't know that horror audiences that are coming out expecting another Megan movie are going to get a lot out of this.
So you're thinking word of mouth might spoil.
And this is a busy weekend. You have F1. You have 28 Years Later that's hanging over.
And then Jurassic Park is coming out this weekend. Jurassic World Rebirth. It's going to bomb everyone out.
It's a tough week to come out, really, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like kind of a, why is this here right now? It feels like they're overthinking the value that this movie's going to have. I have a feeling this will be okay.
They did throw in another dance.
They did throw in another dance, and it was fucking great. It was rad.
It would have been better served in like September when we have nothing.
Yes, I totally agree. Or put it closer to that October window where you're coming out with genre-friendly stuff like this.
Well, the original one came out in January, right? And it did.
Well, yeah, January's like the dump where you're like, I don't know, and then it took off, right? That January is kind of this is where we put all the movies we don't know what to do with.
And then they
like we go back to listen to our new movie Mondays in January this year. It was fucking brutal, dude. Yeah, it was Heath's legendary Wolfman. It was The Presence. It was not good, dude. It was a rough start to the year. But again, I think things like The Presence is a great example. Like, weird, what is this? Yeah. doesn't really work at all, but has done really well once it got out to streaming. And I think M3GAN 2.0 is another one. I think this will do really well on streaming. This will be a super fun, turn it on with the family, to your point, and watch it as a group. It's got the comedy and hijinks for everyone. I think this will end up being a very popular movie. I don't know what you do with that.
That's what I was wondering. Do you think it has the legs to become like a Chucky?
No.
No?
No. Because Chucky did what all the best horror franchises do.
Well, Chucky was straight comedy.
Chucky had a lot of comedy, but it was horror. It had great.
I mean, it was pretty wacky, dude.
It was wacky, but it had So's Evil Dead.
And Freddy, too.
They're all wacky, but you got to have the mix right, where it's 80% horror. And the idea of this toy killing people, slitting the barber's throat at, military school, all that kind of stuff. The built-in child endangerment, right, that this and M3GAN had. Those really work for horror audiences. And Chucky always kept it, this is a serial killer doll, as much as he starts madcapping, right? Freddy did the same thing. By the time you got to Freddy's Dead, he's just Bugs Bunny. He's not even Freddy anymore. But it still is a Friday the 13th movie, right? M3GAN has now obliterated all of that.
But I still love the character. I think the character is a lot of fun.
Okay, let's get in. I thought, because this is one of those movies I had low expectations for, because I was so sick of seeing this trailer. Mm-hmm. It was on every movie I feel like we've seen for 6 months. And every time they did the hold on to your vaginas, I was like, oh, God, no. Like, it's too on the nose now.
I was just always like, how do you even do that? Like, you hear that all the time, hold on to a vagina. Like, what does that even mean?
I feel like that's something you should Google after
Here's
the
Logic
show.
Sam coming in.
You want to know how you would hold on to a vagina?
Just like cup it.
How do you hold on to a bowling ball, Sam? Boom.
Is that what they're saying, though? Because that doesn't make any sense.
I think it's more of a womanly power statement.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's meant to figuratively like lock in, snap in.
Well, because no one's ever like hold on to your
full
dick.
Suction, Captain. We're hitting.
Nobody's ever said hold on to your penis.
Samuel L. Jackson said hold on to your butts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you can do that because butts you can cup them.
Well, I'm just saying, if I was holding, like when you lift a dresser, right, you want to get under the lip so your fingers can go up and in and have better grips.
I just don't see how that makes it any safer.
I don't know what this has to do with anything.
Right.
If I'm being honest.
I'm just saying, that was the main reason that people didn't
Sam's going to Google how to hold on to his vagina after the show.
I'm not even going to go. I don't care that much.
Half a star on Letterboxd has been lost. All
right, now it's...
But anyways, so people didn't like the trailer. That was the biggest thing.
I think the trailer was really rough, and it gave away a shitload of the movie, right? Where you kind of know, and I do like that this trailer had buried in things that I did not see in the movie. I think that's cool. Like she's a smoking hot warrior princess guy, right? I don't care what she does.
They took that shit out.
That's gone, right? Unless I just missed it. Here's the thing. I think M3GAN jumped the shark a little bit for me. Yeah. I did not enjoy M3GAN's character that much in the movie. I thought the side characters were doing a lot of work. But the M3GAN, they did this kind of weird, they think of M3GAN as like a half a Deadpool now.
Yeah.
And that's a tough run, dude. Even by the end of the Deadpool movies, because my son loves those.
That's a good way to put it, actually.
I kind of can only, I feel 40% annoyed the whole time I'm watching it. And I read Deadpool my whole life. I love the character. That bit goes a long way fucking fast, right? I feel like M3GAN got to this point where it's just like this constant fucking jokes. Constant. Smart alecking or whatever, and it kind of took the piss out of her. And weirdly, the moments where M3GAN's trying to be a human worked better for me, and they were such a needed oasis in the middle of these constant jokes.
They kind of pissed me off, actually.
I think I'm just over the M3GAN character. I like Cole, right? The technician.
Yes.
Yeah, he was great.
He was fucking
I didn't even remember him
crushed.
from the first one, but
yeah,
he crushed
Jemaine, right? The technology guy. He fucking crushed. Like, there were side characters that were helping a lot. But M3GAN and Gemma, I am so fucking done with that pairing. If Gemma's back in another one, I would have a hard time caring. Because Allison William just being a piece of shit to M3GAN, when M3GAN's like, hey, you were a mom, you tried your best, you showed up. She's like, I need the killer robot, not a lesson. You're like, so she's just learned nothing in a movie and a half. She's
completely off base on that. She's a robot. Like, that whole scene didn't make sense to me because she's a robot.
What?
Yeah, that's like a Disneyfication of it or whatever. Because robots, and she's like, well, why do you feel emotions? And she's like, oh, you don't know either, right? So
do you know why you feel emotion, Sam?
No, but somebody fucking does, dude, and it's called science.
Well, I think it's just electrical currents in our brain, just like a robot.
I know, but just like a robot, we don't know that. Why would a robot...
I think we designed robots based on our own fucking brains. Boom. Is that scienced?
No.
I think you got science.
I think it's absurd.
I hear the faint Susan of the audience cheering.
I
for
personally
me.
think it's absurd that a robot would naturally start having emotions.
You think it's weird that robots give people advice? Have you lived in the real world? Do you not have AI on any of your devices?
I don't.
Anything like that?
I don't use any AI.
This is something that I was thinking about while watching the whole movie, and how much are we going to have to now be having these conversations about the role of AI in our world, in our lives, and it's like a fucking cell phone in a horror movie now. It's like every movie where we have to feature AI, we have to deal with, now anything can happen because AI is so powerful.
Are you guys fearful of it?
I don't know what to think of it at this point, but it's just, it's so omnipresent in our lives, and now we have to grapple with it in all of our entertainment. I mean, it's sort of baked in with this franchise, so this is fine. But it's just kind of...
And also the movie doesn't want to talk about it, so why do we have to?
I mean, it did
at a very
try
like
to
surface
it.
level, like Cliff Notes, middle school teacher level, they talked about AI.
Yeah.
But that's who's going to go see the movie, dude.
Very
Middle
valid
school,
point.
yeah.
Very valid point. But
So why not?
What I'm saying is there's so much AI fear and shit. And like honestly, that's been around since Terminator, right? Since The Matrix.
But now it's actually in our lives.
Right. And I think the problem is that using it for horror.
That's
so
the better
in our
comp,
lives
actually.
all the
This
time.
movie was like Terminator.
And there's no fucking way we're getting away from it. So the people who are like always freaking out about AI, I was like, I kind of felt like Megan, where it's like, dude, it's here. You got to just ride the wave. You got to figure out how to survive. It's kind of like being a field worker, right? Like an old farmer in Nebraska when it's like, combines? That's bullshit. And you're like, it's here. Like, you're done.
Yeah,
you have to
it's
adjust.
sort of like that, except for if the Combine could have feelings. Because you seem to think that they're going to just have feelings.
I think they have the replication of everything humans do, and their generative models that tell them how to react to things are not that different than how we know people that are wildly irrational and emotional. That's not how the body's supposed to work. These are wild fucking responses based on
but why would
brain
you design a
chemistry and
robot
signals.
to be like that?
Because we think that we are God, and everything we create has a human element to it for the most part. All tools are just extensions of things we wish our bodies did, right?
Yeah.
Knives or claws, right? Our phones and computers are extra brain space, right? That's all these tools are. The problem is we're building something that is so similar to us. The theory is that eventually it's going to be like, why do we need these meat sacks?
Yeah.
And turn on us. And this movie kind of gets there, but not really. Because now it's just a buddy cop movie.
Well, you end up liking him at the end.
But
her, at least.
I'm glad it didn't try to go too deep into it. I mean, to your point of we've been talking about this in film since Terminator.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted by it. Like already I'm exhausted by, do we have to now, every movie that deals with some sort of technology, we have to grapple and explore this theme of what is cognition? What's it like to be
like really high level debates that most of these movies are not equipped to spend the time
Well, I
on.
feel like someone has figured
It's
that out.
a fun conversation to pass a joint around, and
Yes,
you know
exactly. It's a that
discuss
70s
that-
show spinning camera scene.
right? And it was something to think about when I don't know, like how many movies do this. I'm thinking of like really obscure ones, and I'm sure there are way more obvious.
Virtuosity.
Virtuosity.
The Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower Man. I was thinking of Simone. Remember that movie?
There is a Johnny Depp one, right? Like there's a bunch of
Oh,
them.
yeah, for sure.
Well,
Transcendence.
Companion did it earlier this year.
See, okay, so this is the problem I have with M3GAN 2.0 is Companion kind of came around and took the lunch of the we want a more mature how does M3GAN fit in the world movie. Companion is a 50 times better examination of
It's just a better
our
movie.
role and responsibility for technology.
An examination. This is a ride. This is a theme park.
This
ride.
is a ride. And so I get
This is
back
propaganda.
to your point. This is
for
ridiculous.
what? For who?
For AI. Isn't it?
Is it? You
It
saw
could
this
be.
movie and we're like, we need more AI?
I mean, M3GAN seemed pretty
Well, the bad
badass.
guy was the anti-AI.
That's true.
person.
But then the first bad guy was very pro AI.
Yeah.
And he got his...
So this movie's very confused about what it wants you to think.
It's a little confused.
But again, I think to his point, it's doing half a Terminator 2.
Yeah.
It's doing like a quarter of M3GAN 1. and then a quarter Spaceballs comedy.
Okay, so I saw this movie at 10:30 in the morning, and I'm going to quote the gentleman who was the only other person in the theater with me as we walked out. I think this man generously was 80 years old, and he said, "I don't know what I just saw, but I know I liked it."
That's what okay, and again, I think that's the M3GAN gambit, is that people are going to be like, what? Because it's not like 28 years later where they're throwing real fucking wild curveballs in at you. This is throwing curveballs, but in we're just doing...
It's all set up. It's all
it seemed very predictable.
You know it's going to pay off. Like you said, the check off everything.
That's why when the M3GAN thing happened, it got me in my head. I was like, ooh, that's actually a great switch.
See, I agree with you. That would have been a stronger ending if M3GAN asserts her personhood and actually tries... Because again, Gemma has learned... nothing. Gemma is such a shitty, unlikable character.
She's a genius.
That it makes me hate Allison Williams, and maybe it's not her fault. Gemma fucking sucks and has learned nothing and is terrible and always acts like she has to make the worst choice.
I do have a question about Gemma, right? So there were several instances in this movie where they specifically were talking about how shitty she was to her workmates. Yeah. They're like, you never give us credit.
Yeah.
They make them work late or something. And I'm like, why would you put that in? Why do you want us to not like this lady?
I think part of it is that, right? Like, because again, the character who we're supposed to be on the empathetic ride with is the niece. Because she's trying to follow in her aunt's footsteps and doesn't see the M3GAN debacle as this end-of-the-world level crime that it probably was. She sees it as, okay, we made mistakes, we can do it better. She's a child of this technological era that's not afraid of technology, right? So she sees M3GAN in this hideous form, and probably the most sweet and earnest scene in the movie, where M3GAN has recreated her room and is like, don't look at me, I'm not done yet. She rolls in as this like hideous fucking Johnny 5 robot. Right? And the kid isn't afraid of her at all and just talks to her and is like, hey, like that was really weird what happened last time. Why? Like, can you prove that you can do better? Like, don't protect me, help me out by saving the world, right? And there's that's what the movie, I think, is doing at its best, is that story.
Well, maybe that's where the third movie goes, is that M3GAN grows with Katie. So Katie goes off to college in the next movie, and so does M3GAN.
Katie,
and that's where M3GAN gets the VD.
I really do miss the 80s kids, man. Like the evil kids from the 80s, like Children of the Corn. Like all the kids, like I get why they do it, because kids are supposed to be pure, and it's like, oh, they don't care about aesthetics and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but some kids do. And most of the kids I've ever met are little shits.
Old
almost
man,
all
get
of
off
them.
My lawn, Sam, is out in full force.
All right, I'm going to go on record. Almost every kid I've ever met is a little shit. And somehow in all these movies, including 28 years later, they're all these like angelic, perfect beings.
I'll go on record as a guy who works at an elementary school. They are all little shits.
Yes.
And that's their job. Everything is a game to
I know,
them
so why
and
can't we
fun.
have a movie where the kids are little shits again?
I think we do. We
feel
do
like-
have them. They're just not as prevalent as they used to be.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though.
You
They're
get what I'm
always
saying. Why are these
portrayed-
kids always
the
so good?
Goonies.
wiser. They're the wise ones. They hold the wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, the adults are the
From
foolish
the
ones.
bit, the mouth
Somehow
of
the
babes
adults
spills
are the
truth.
idiots and the
Yeah.
kids are geniuses.
Right.
And you hate that?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just how Gen Z is
'Cause I'm
coming
now
up,
an
man.
adult.
Or it's not Gen Z
Yeah.
anymore.
I was going to say, I think everyone is an idiot, I think, is what we're learning as the world's turns
See,
on.
I would agree with that, yes.
Like, the world's just moving faster than all of us are able to evolve, dude. That's the problem.
I mean, that's what Veep is about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're all just in over our heads and doing our best, but we all take ourselves too seriously.
But kids don't.
And if there's anything I like about M3GAN 2.0, it never takes itself too seriously.
Right.
It really does know tonally exactly what it wants to be the whole time.
Right in that opening montage where she opens her locker and Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
Was it Above the Law or Hard to Kill poster?
I think it was a Hard to Kill.
Yeah.
I told
Fist
Sam,
pumping.
it makes me sad that the theater was not in uproarious laughter.
No one got
I
it.
was.
When Jenna starts you may be hard to kill.
Right.
Come on. And she just keeps, I need you to make an executive decision. I was fucking rolling.
It was so good.
The addition of the Steven Seagal Hapkido or whatever.
That was for the old guys,
Aikido,
man.
I was fucking dying laughing.
That was for the
shit
old
was
guys.
amazing.
Because I was thinking, why would you put Steven Seagal in this movie for teenagers? But it's for the old guys. That
It's
come
for
to
us.
see-
Yeah,
it's
it's
for us.
for us.
And it worked.
And that one
It definitely worked, yeah.
crushed. I loved when they fucking broke that dude's arm, and the tech just goes. And it was such a perfect little sequence. Again, because I think it's a hard movie to sell, right? There's not a lot of story here. as you try to expand it out and make it bigger, it does feel a little bit like spinning your wheels. But I feel like with the comedy and the acting, they really nailed it.
Can we talk a little bit about the bad robot? Because I thought she did great.
You love the bad robot.
That was a real person, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a real actress.
I don't know.
Were they just a facsimile of a
Well, whoever the actor was that did it, like, it had me thinking a couple times, like, man, is this an actual real person?
It was a person grown in a lab with the DNA of Scarlett Johansson and one of the Olsen twins.
And she never blinked one time.
Well, so I heard this Fincher's editor says that he doesn't like using takes where actors blink because it breaks our reality. And I was like, that's so weird. People blink all the fucking time.
I feel like Allison Williams never blinked either.
Allison Williams,
after I noticed that,
she will never escape the woman who drank milk out of a straw in small sips. That's how we see her, is from Get Out. She's such a weird, like, she just seems like a Nepo baby who never has been one of us. She feels more like a robot than anyone else.
And her dad.
She always has. So. Well, when she played Marnie in Girls, is it Marnie?
She was the normal one in Girls.
I do feel bad. I gave up on Girls super early because I think it was the pilot. Amy's like, let's watch this. And the whole pilot was Lena Dunham. Like, I have to have a job while I pursue my dream. As I was like living in LA and I go, fuck this show. This is unbearable rich person stuff.
Yeah,
apparently it got very good. And I just wasn't in on it.
It didn't get very good.
It's the start of Adam Driver, man.
It was the start of Adam. I know a lot of people who love that show. I just was like, as a young guy in LA working really hard while trying to chase my dream, that bugged me.
I lived with Steve, and he's from New York, and so anytime we tried to watch it, he'd just be like, "This is so unrealistic. They wouldn't be able to afford that apartment."
Yeah.
Like, what does Adam Driver do?
Friends.
Yeah.
I love New Yorkers giving us the true New York experience.
It's bad, but not because of the writing. It's bad because of the set.
Yeah, that's what I give a shit about in my New York tales. But no, I thought the other robot was really cool.
Yeah.
The opening scene of the other robot infiltrating the terrorist base and waxing everyone, that was fucking cool.
That reminded me of MacGruber.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Which I'm not complaining about.
MacGruber is the most underrated comedy of all time. MacGruber fucking rules.
Really great actions.
Right after Taxi.
Too. But to me,
did you just say after Taxi with Jimmy Fallon and Queen Latifah?
It goes Taxi, then MacGruber.
That's so unfair to MacGruber.
That's just
MacGruber.
It's so unfair to just lob a grenade like that into a very smooth conversation.
Sorry.
So go ahead, Heath. Continue your MacGruber analysis.
Well, I think it put me in the headspace that we're watching a comedy. And
see, I thought that actually felt like a real action thing, and I was kind of excited because then they had that awesome scene where she comes out of the suitcase.
It's an action parody. That was a good scene.
I thought it played like a terrorist strike scene or whatever. I was pretty into the reality of it at the moment, right? The suitcase was cool, and I was like, fucking, hey, assassin robot.
Here's my thing, though. Do you think she put herself in the suitcase?
Yes.
But then, later on, I was confused about that part, because later on they showed a picture of that dude, and they're like, he's the guy that owns the robot.
Yeah.
So he knew she was in the bags.
No, I think he had sold other versions of it,
and
or had
she
sold
infiltrated
her
back
originally and was not aware that she had gone rogue on her mission.
So then my second question is, how light is she? Because, like, wouldn't you notice, like, I'm carrying this bag.
Those carbon fiber metals, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe he's just jacked.
If we're going with
jacked.
If we're going with nitpicks here, how did they have every single resource available to them in this bunker? In this lair, as it was
she
called.
ordered an Amazon?
Because Megan said that. Let's not explain to her what credit fraud is. Again, the bunker is one of those insanely stupid things you just have to get over. Like, that's such
Well, how does she make her original body? I get once she has her original body, she can make other stuff, but how does she make her original body?
Because she has those fucking Tony Stark arms that move around and can do stuff.
Well, it's just like, here, I have an idea. Can you make me a warm hand? Like, let's whip that up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, we have the materials for that. We don't need to order anything. Yeah, we'll just do that.
Well, yeah, how'd they get all the...
Because she had, through fraud and whatever, built this bunker.
She just had a stockpile of...
Again, that's one of those insanely stupid things. If you get caught up on that in the movie...
But this movie does that a lot. And again, I forgive it because it's not the point.
It's not the point.
Following movie logic, it does. You just go with what the movie's giving you. But it was starting to bug me the longer the movie went because it's too long and it was getting tedious.
Way too long.
And it's just kind of like anything is possible. You can explain anything away because the super intelligent AI can hack into anywhere, can be in any electronic device.
Megan somehow saves herself at the end.
Yeah, it's just sort of it breaks the tension a little.
That was clear she was going to do a replica of herself.
But why didn't the other one just do a replica of himself then?
We don't know that she didn't. Because Because he was only alive for like 30 seconds.
Can't comprehend that.
He was only alive for like 30 seconds. Probably assumed they had godlike power. Were testing out the new body and then got EMP'd. That
but
one
probably
I forget.
made it.
Why did the other assassin robot not do it? And then they're like, oh, we have all these controls on it. But that felt weird. It felt like a Jurassic Park thing. Like, life finds a way.
And is that, like, I've heard a little bit of it about EMP, but I feel like if we have that technology, like, why are we even afraid of AIs at all? Couldn't we just blow them up with EMP bullets?
Couldn't the EMP just fuck, or they could turn off our EMPs?
Well, yeah, it could jeopardize other things that we need. That
because they could launch every nuclear missile on Earth before we EMP. That's like the Matrix, right?
Right.
They blot out the sun.
You shouldn't be afraid of the physical form robots. You should be afraid of the ones that are like in the computers.
Like they say, when she takes over the cloud, because he turns off that bit of San Fran or whatever for a second, or wherever the fuck they are, London. And they're like, if she shuts everything down, society will collapse within 3 weeks with no banks,
but
no electronics, no internet.
My other question is, why didn't she just do that immediately if she could do it?
But she didn't want to do that. She just wanted to kill her creators.
Okay.
She put the fear in them that she could do it, because that was part of Christiane's plan to make her this boogeyman
the whole
specter.
time Christiane was controlling her.
Yes.
Okay.
But he was creating the perfect boogeyman to sell his bill.
Yeah.
That's why he had her
like
kill
Watchmen,
the Chinese ambassador and all that, right? So that the nations would see AI as a joint boogeyman, like an alien movie, right? And we would unite as humans against this other thing.
Create the problem, and then you fix the problem.
Yes, exactly. So that's what he's doing there. Again, I think the biggest flaw with the movie is that other robot had no journey at all. And I think her and M3GAN running a similar route, and M3GAN feeling like she's a couple steps ahead but having to grapple with the reality of that, is something this movie needed a lot of, right? Because in between the jokes, if you're going to make a 2-hour-long movie, there has to be something that matters beyond the jokes. The stakes never do. The action never does. It does start to overstay its welcome.
What was it that Damon Lindelof coined? It's sort of like, he said this about the Star Trek movies he was writing, where it's like movie momentum or movie... There was a certain term that he used. I can't remember exactly what
Propulsion?
it was. Yeah, something like that, where it's just basically like you have to keep upping the stakes, and then that becomes the whole point of the plot. Is it doesn't even matter what the characters started off, their motivations were. The motivation becomes, we need a bigger set piece. Basically.
Well, it becomes there's this thing in front of me I have to solve right fucking now. And all of my grand philosophizing doesn't matter when I'm in a trash compactor in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? You're not worried about the dark side in politics when you are getting fucking crushed in a trash compactor. And this movie just kind of struggles with, there's not a lot of that kind of stuff they're pulling, right? And again, they have great bits throughout. Like the dude accidentally chloroforming himself.
Yeah.
I love that bit. That was hilarious.
The tech is the MVP of this movie.
He was my favorite character.
Crushed this movie. And so it has a lot of those bits. But then it's like, I don't know. I don't know what else it's trying to do.
I thought the FBI guy was fun.
He was pretty funny. But again, I think this is one of those, because it's so much bigger, it gets filled out with all these other people. And just no one gets the room they need. Because you don't need like 5 people representing the oppositional force.
Actually, he might have been the only character that actually had narc in the entire movie. Because at the end, remember, he like gives
I thought you said narc. Arc.
I think he gives a shitty look to the robot that's bringing him his lunch. He's the only person that's like changed their opinion on anything in the entire movie.
Yeah, because he starts off using it as a weapon.
Yeah, he wants to use it.
And then by the end, he doesn't even want the robot bringing him his food.
Well, yeah, I think he's had a bad run here. He's like, these guys fucking suck, and I'm over it.
He might have been the main character, actually.
Yeah, I think he, unlike Gemma, was like, whoa, that was insane.
That's insane.
Not cool. Gemma's just like, I got it. Fuck you. But they even, like, when there's a problem, we all got to solve it. When you're on 60 Minutes, you're the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Right.
Gemma's very hateable.
They made her hateable. Yeah.
I think Gemma represents, like, the tech billionaires that are destroying our world now. Right? Like, Elon was a normal, rich douche, but we all thought he was really smart and cool.
Well, all these characters are doing that.
It's not enough to just be, like, this is the thing I always tell people about politics and shit. Is like, imagine being as rich as Elon Musk and be like, you know what I want to go do? Fuck with everyone. That's fucking crazy. He bought Twitter just to shit talk people and make himself seem cool. He went into government and did all this shit that made people pissed. And then he left and he's like, I got to protect my stocks. That was insane. And it's like, how can you be such a fucking just douche when you're that rich. You won the game. You won everything. If I was that rich, I'd be on an island with nonstop buffet of 10s and everything I ever wanted, and you'd never see me again. And just kidding, I'm happily married. And and all of a sudden it's like, but that's what Gemma is.
That's how
she's not satisfied with being a spokesperson. She wants to write the future. She thinks she is the most important character in life and this movie. And we all recognize her too much and hate her guts.
Well, and Christian is like that too. He's a total the ends justify the means.
But see, because they trick us with him because he's talking to the niece and he's like, I do think it's cool that you're... And he has that cool thing about the paperclip paradox, right? Yeah. That you give a robot with all this power and you say you have one mission to build paperclips. And eventually what you learn is that the world is completely razed to the ground. Everything's destroyed, but there's just a mountain of paper clips.
He didn't have a bad plan. I'm going to go, he didn't have a bad plan, and it would have worked if they wouldn't have fucked it up. He probably would have saved...
Aside from the killing of people.
Yeah, well, he killed a couple Iranians. Hey, we just did last week.
Damn!
Yeah, he killed, he killed a couple Iranians.
Sam's not wrong.
In order to save the world. I think maybe he...
You're doing the you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet defense here?
Well, I think he would have probably saved the world if it wasn't.
In your defense, Gemma killed a shitload of people in the first movie.
And she didn't even get in trouble.
As a hero.
Did she even serve jail time?
She got a book deal. They said she was going to jail, but then she became a...
She did some court hearings.
Crusader. Yeah, so I think she skated on actual jail time.
She had some testimony.
Maybe that's the secret. She just shouldn't have fucked with Christian.
And then M3GAN illegally funneled a bunch of book money to her, and she's good now. Yeah.
Christian just was not her type. I do have to admit, one of the hardest laughs that I had was when Gemma starts to, go full M3GAN, and when she's in the exoskeleton, and she, I don't know, puts one of these henchmen down, and you can hear M3GAN talking to her. And what was the line? It was something like, I can tell that you are disturbed yet strangely aroused.
Yes. He's like, you're starting to like this. She's like, shut up. And I was like, yeah, dude, that, again... M3GAN is doing the movie Airplane, right? If you do 150 jokes, and 50 of them are funny, right? What's that Carol Burnett said? She's like, if you're a comedian and 30% of your jokes are funny, you're one of the best comedians who ever lived.
Yeah, it's like the batting average. In the Hall
you got to
of Fame.
shoot your shot, right? And I think M3GAN passed that test. There were some really fucking laugh-out-loud funny moments in this movie, I thought. Mostly the Steven Seagal. But yeah, again, I think it's big, it's bloated, it's taking a swing that I don't understand, but I think if you look at the equation of the movie at the end, it's such a fucking perfect summer movie.
It is unfortunate that Mission Impossible more or less had the exact same whole plot structure from the Mission Impossible from this summer.
Yeah.
Too bad, because that was
too bad.
I think I actually preferred the M3GAN version of it.
Hey, that's a huge win for M3GAN, man. Again,
it's like one-third the budget.
Yeah, I think it's just a good summer popcorn movie. I think the problem is when you put the stink of AI on it, it makes it feel like we're going to explore more and it's going to mean more, and it never does. We've lost all elements of a horror movie. There's not a horror scene in this other than maybe her trying to fucking bang Jemaine.
That's pretty horrific.
Yeah, that was the only scene that kind of resembled a horror movie. And so I was a little sad at we've lost a horror icon, I feel like. And I wonder if M3GAN has the ability to upgrade to the point of becoming more of a pop culture crossover character. I don't know that that's going to be the case.
I think they got to switch genres again. I think you nailed it earlier.
I mean, yeah, M3GAN goes to space,
going.
dude.
M3GAN just does everything.
The action of it is funny.
Well, the question is then, do we even cover it on this podcast? Because to your point, it wasn't quite a messed up movie.
No, it was not a messed up movie. This kind of it's more Buckaroo Banzai. You know what I mean?
I would still want to cover it, though, because M3GAN is a horror...
She might not be by the next one.
Was.
I think the horror community might have to.
But hey, man, so if Jason Voorhees made a rom-com, I think we should still cover it.
Oh,
well, that's a very different premise than what we were watching.
And it's quite a foundation, a legacy.
It reminds me. I think M3GAN is doing a little Ari Aster here. That horror fans are the ones that brought him to the dance, and then he immediately turned his nose up at us so he could make really cool art house important movies, and that sucks. That feels like a little bit. Look at all we did for you, and you turn around and fucking tell us what we love is beneath you. That's fucking crazy.
It's like Joker 2 all over.
Yeah, it feels like M3GAN is doing a little bit of a, horror's fine for those people, but I'm going to go, be on Good Morning America.
Yeah. I don't think it was a total thumb their noses at us from the filmmakers. I thought this was a natural way to take the story. I mean, you've already done the Chucky version. What are you going to do? Just that same beat over and over again?
Well, what did Chucky do?
Yes, that's what horror franchises
Chucky
do.
did the same beat.
I know, but we already have Child's Play.
Yeah, Chucky did the same beat 100 times and is infinitely more cool and popular than M3GAN will ever be.
I guess.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe,
I wouldn't say infinite.
Maybe M3GAN will catch the fucking
I
lightning.
think Child's Play is the least popular of the main horror.
No. You think Child's Play is ranked lower than Hellraiser?
Yeah.
But those were just
In
playing
my
in
mind,
different...
Texas Chainsaw? No.
Those were in different leagues. I mean, those movies more or less were video store movies.
Yeah.
M3GAN is going for blockbuster status.
Yeah. But again, I would be interested to see if they can pull this off again and do another third M3GAN summer blockbuster.
I'm sure we'll find out in about 2 years.
Well, we'll see how good this one does.
I think it's going to do really well.
You think so?
I think it'll be a really popular movie. This is the exact kind of thing if I was in high school trying to go on a date.
Yeah.
Because you can bring anyone to this movie. It's got it's kind of a, like KFC. Remember when KFC started doing the slot bowls? And they're like, you're fat and gross.
Yeah.
We know you're fat and gross. You don't mind being fat and gross. Why waste the cardboard?
Put it all in a
We're gonna
bowl.
Put your whole meal in a fucking bucket.
Mush it
like
all together.
A pig bucket. A slop bucket for you. And we went, holy shit, thanks. That's a little bit what M3GAN is. It's putting the mashed potatoes and the corn in with my chicken tendies and some gravy.
It's the full
and I
meal.
just go, this is great. Man, I'm going to regret it tomorrow, but this is fucking awesome.
So you're saying
right
M3GAN
now.
is the fast food of movies?
I think specifically it's
Absolutely.
the KFC slot bowl of movies.
Slot bowl of movies.
And slot bowl could be taken as demeaning,
Well,
but I think it was fucking
Just to let you guys know, this movie has 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Because again, I think it's a crowd pleaser. I think it's a crowd pleaser in a way that horror movies are never.
Yeah.
Any horror movie you go, at least 4 people if you took 10 people to a horror movie, 4 people are going to be like, oh, I don't do horror movies. I don't like it. I don't want to see a kid in danger.
Yeah, but they would watch this.
I don't want to see a dog die. But they'll watch it and like this. And again, I don't know if it sounds like I'm shitting on this movie. I had a great time watching it. This is in my top 10 of the year. It's 10. It'll get bounced out soon, I'm sure. But it's good. It's a rock solid
It's very
movie.
good.
Yeah, and again, for taking the scope up as big as they did and still managing to land the plane, I thought was a really cool feat.
Yeah. And it being PG-13, I think it's going to end up making more money in theaters than 28 years later.
The problem is that it's just sandwiched between bigger, better movies that are going to stuff it. Like, I don't know that Jurassic Park will be more popular. I know everyone who has a kid, their kid wants to see Jurassic Park. Because dinosaurs just always fucking work.
See, the Jurassic Park has the little kids.
So M3GAN is like, I feel like M3GAN's done after this week. Like, if you don't see M3GAN this week, this thing's going to be out of theaters quick and then probably get like Max or Hulu distribution and be fine.
Well, it'll be Peacock because it's Universal.
Oh, that sucks. You don't want to end up on the cock, dude.
You don't want to be Peacock.
Peacock is the worst app. It sucks so bad. I fucking hate Peacock.
I didn't even know they had an app.
Yeah.
Universal is probably the top. Maybe Disney's the top, but Universal is neck and neck with Disney right now. They've been on a hot streak for the past couple of years. They know how to do these movies, release them. Mm-hmm. They've actually had a lot of success on the PVOD. So the premium video on demand, where it's still in theaters, you rent it at a premium.
The $20 rentals.
I think
we're about to do that with Superman. Apparently, that's going to be available on Amazon before it's even in the theaters for a week or 2.
No, on Amazon?
I wonder why.
I'm pretty sure I just read about this because the actor was like, "What the fuck are we?"
Yeah,
doing?
that seems like
and
not a
James
good
Gunn's
idea.
like, "It's not a movie that'll be ruined by spoilers."
Okay.
But I think they're flooding the zone and trying to give the fans a solid and get as many people to see it
Is
as they
theater
can.
attendance just down in general?
Well, yes, but it's also the birth of the new DCEU, the James Gunn DCEU, and I think they want to really flood the zone with all Superman.
A lot of 80s music.
So it's an interesting time, man. I think mixed hybrid releases are the future, clearly.
Well, you love them. I'm personally a theater guy.
Me
I
too.
go to the theater every fucking week, too. I love the
Yeah.
theater, but some movies, like, not to be rude, M3GAN was not a movie I needed to go spend $50 to take
No,
my
not
kids.
necessarily. But
M3GAN's not a theater movie.
But I did have the thought while I was watching it that I was glad I saw it in the theater. I thought the sound design was amazing. It just added to, you hear all those little bleeps and bloops.
I think the theater adds
bloops.
a ton to any viewing experience because you're focused.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely a movie that's so unrequiring of my attention. I would have spent a lot of time on my phone. during this movie.
Probably. Yeah.
That I did not do in the theater, and I liked the movie, right? So that's great. And Superman probably is one you want to see on a big screen.
Right.
But I think something like M3GAN, it's going to be on demand quick. Like, it's going to get crushed out of theaters. There's that Fantastic Four is on the way. Like, there's not a lot of room for M3GAN to keep existing.
I feel like M3GAN's a good date night movie. I feel like it's going to do good on demand.
Yeah, I think it'll crush, and I think when kids can stream it, I think it's going to find a big audience. And there is a chance, to your point, the few fucking young people that still like movies, if that's a thing, that M3GAN's going to be really popular with that prime demographic that everyone.
Did you guys have the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 trailer?
Yes.
Yeah. So
my kids were fucking.
And that's a Universal movie.
That movie fucking was way better than you think it was. That was a really good,
solid,
probably the best 4 kids horror movie I've seen in forever. We don't really.
It was actually pretty creepy.
Yeah, it had like real horror movie scenes, but still felt It felt like an '80s kids movie. Right, and my kids love it. Five Nights at Freddy's is fucking huge. But I used to play on the Universal softball team, right, with a lot of people that worked in development, and they all were like, you know what fucking saved Universal was the fucking Minions. Yeah. It's Despicable Me. They're like, the Minions just printed money for them. And now, they've had a ton of great shit over the last decade. They've been fucking
and if you go to Universal, there's Minion statues and Minion attractions all over.
Dude,
it's a huge
I
franchise.
have kids. Minions crush every time. The Minions are fucking great and funny. And again, I think they're putting their backing behind movies that are going to be big crowd pleasers. And M3GAN is that. I did enjoy it. I think it'll be popular, even though it has this really unfortunate release. It's completely different. I don't think M3GAN is going to be considered a horror icon anymore, because that's not who she's going to be anymore. You can't go back to horror movies after this, I feel like. I think that ship is sailed.
She might be much more. You never know.
Could be.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll just be a robot mascot.
She'll just be a pop culture.
She'll be Inspector Gadget now, dude. That's what she'll be.
Pretty much.
She'll be the new Vision.
All right. This is going to be a challenging one. What was the most messed up moment in M3GAN?
Oh, I didn't even think about that, actually.
There's not a lot.
I'll go. For me, by far, the most messed up moment is that some tech oligarch trying to bed a robot and impress this, lady of the...
I know what you're going to say.
Can just hit a button.
Yeah. By the way, his spinning couch in his bed and how he's like, ooh, he's doing the quagmire. So
I agree. That is the most.
He can just hit a button and
turn off
all the power.
That's pretty
in
crazy.
The city.
But in my mind, I was like, is that a thing? Is that a thing someone can do? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, that's the Iranian thing in the news. They're like, well, we might have bombed them, but they could just cyber attack our banking industry. And you're like, wait, what? And they kind of brush past that like it's not as cool as bombs. I'm like, that's scary as fuck, dude. Yeah. The fact that just to get a blowjob, he can shut off all the... and then there's car crash and shit. He's like,
and people screaming.
Yeah. Oops. That's fucking wild. My most messed up moment is, again, Gemma being the biggest piece of shit. She sends her techs in with the murder robot to the technology convention, right? M3GAN's in there, and she goes, oh my God, my new boyfriend I've had for what couldn't have even been a year, I have to go warn him and save him. Leaves her fucking niece in the van, who later gets fucking abducted and comes in because she's a fucking impetuous teen. The fact that Gemma chose Christiane over her niece in that moment, that is one of the dumbest, most unforgivable character choices in any movie ever. Like, that is one of those, you're like, Gemma will never work for me in this franchise. She's the bad guy. The only thing I want in M3GAN 3... the only thing I want in M3GAN 3 is for M3GAN to hold Gemma's fucking head and spine above her head like a predator.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
And it was the one thing she promised to do, and she was guilt-tripped about it.
Yeah.
Like the scene before.
Yes.
And she's still...
Gemma cannot learn a fucking human lesson, and we're supposed to think she cares. That is the most messed up thing to me. Sam, what do you got?
I agree with you on that. You've got me convinced. I've got 2, actually. So this one's more generalized. I think his name was Cole. Who's the tech?
I think it was Cole, yeah.
Cole. Yeah. Just the way they treated him in general, I was like, this guy is probably actually the brains behind everything.
Well, they even say, he's like, I'm going to kill those 2. I don't know what they do. And you're like, Cole probably builds everything.
I'm sure Cole has a very important job.
They won't even let Cole take a piss.
I know. And
Gemma's on a podcast.
Sam, you'd be in trouble.
Dude, that scene really got me when he had to pee.
Yeah, you might be in trouble now.
And I'm like, I don't care how rich you are. You're going to wait for me to pee. So, even if I need your money.
I'd show her up. I'd just piss in the suit.
Well, he was wearing khaki pants. It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, but he couldn't have. Remember, she throws the fishbowl water on the suit. He would have
died.
Would have fried his ass.
Wow.
So he risked his own life, and they still treat him like shit. Right. The second one is a more obvious one, but it's when he locks them in there and is like, "Hey, Christian." He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry that you're not going to get to see
the world that I built.
The world that I built," and blah 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 blah. And I was like, if that would have worked out, it would have been the most messed up thing.
Yeah,
but then he gets killed.
All died in the bunker.
I was like, that's pretty fucked up, dude. And he's supposed to be the good guy. So
yeah, I don't think this is probably this or Tampopo, but Tampopo has the weird eggs sharing scene and like some weird sexual Japanese shit that makes that work. This might be the least messed up movie we've ever talked about.
Maybe
everything kind of made sense.
This is on the edge of this is no longer the kind of things we talk about.
It's been a weird month.
It's been a weird month, dude. But again, I think this movie will be very popular. I think it's one of those movies they'll still talk about this movie years from now. Whereas a lot of this shit will go away. I think there is some power to M3GAN, even though I think we got to vote her out of the horror community.
So while F1 may win the weekend, M3GAN's going to win the long term.
No one's going to talk about F1 in
No one's going to talk about F1 in 5 years.
They'll talk about M3GAN in 15 years.
All right.
That's what I think. So that's it for M3GAN. We hope you guys had fun with it this weekend. Go to the theater, support movies. You know we believe in that. Go to Indiegogo and support the Mr. Cream Jeans Hidey Hole Indiegogo campaign. You have to type us in or find it on our Misfit Parade social media because we are banned, shadow banned. No big deal. We have still been crushing thanks to you guys. We are going to be on demand. We've still got 15 days more in our campaign. We've got more money to raise to make this movie as good as we can. And the big thing that you can help us beyond production, get this movie into the world. If we want to take this movie out to theaters, we have to do that and it costs money. We want to print more Blu-rays. We got to do that. That costs money. So your dollars help us get this into the world. That means everything to us. Thank you for the incredible support. We've been blown away by the amount of love that everyone has shown to us. It's crazy. It's hard when you launch one of these things. You don't know what the reception will be. You guys have made us feel very loved. Thank you for that. Keep giving money. Keep giving money also.
And we'll give you stuff too. We'll give you a shirt.
See, this is a
Blu-ray.
tit for tat. Yeah. Show us yours. We'll show you ours.
Get you some wares to wear.
Yeah, get you some wares. You can get a wares house of our stuff. Go to the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon. Support the show there. Lots of fun stuff. Best way to get a hold of us. Best way to help make the show what you want it to be. We'll see you soon here at the Messed Up Movies Podcast.